Here we have the all-new 2024 Chevrolet Silverado EV. Now this one comes in the 4WT trim level in Summit White. And then we have jet black vinyl interior. We have 2 electric motors, 1 on each axle. We have a 200 plus kilowatt hour ULTIUM battery. And this is ready to get 450 miles on a full charge. As we come around to the front end here, LED headlamps along with LED daytime running lights. And even though this is a work truck version, I think it's a very, very nice front fascia here. So we're gonna just pop the frunk. And it doesn't open all the way. You have to pull it up. Now we do have a 120 volt here. And the charger's in there. And then to put it back down, you have to lower it, and it will kind of soft close. Push it down. So an interesting setup there. 18-inch high gloss aluminum wheels. But we're gonna go ahead and walk around this way. And it just seems very large to me in terms of just the overall length of it and just the overall presence of it. It seems like a pretty big truck. Now this is supposed to be a full-size pickup, just electric, but still. Running boards are there, passive keyless entry on the front. And over here we have our power door lock controls, power windows, power mirrors. We do get blind spot monitors. And pretty good space in the door panel. You can also open the front from here, trailer brake controller, lane keeping system, tow haul mode, parking brake. You get a power tilt and telescoping steering wheel. And I just think it's funny how this truck was made, because you get so many features that you wouldn't expect. But then, like here we have a manual driver's seat. We have a power tilt and telescoping steering wheel. I just find that funny. But I've always liked the vinyl interiors on the Silverados, especially for work. They're easy to clean. They look good over time. And trailering information is right there. But I have that seat up front adjusted for someone of my size, being 6'3" with longer legs. Before we check out the rear seat room, huge shout out to Chevrolet Buick GMC of Murfreesboro for allowing me to review this truck today. I'll leave a link below in the description. Gonna go over all the important stuff, mostly the sticker price. $79,940 for a work truck. But that's probably the biggest reason it's so expensive. It's right there. You have to have a pretty big battery to pull something like this 450 miles. Let's go ahead and check out this room back here. No surprise, tons of space. Headroom is incredible. Legroom's fantastic. Seat back pockets are on both sides. And then you have a 120 volt 3-prong plug-in down there, 2 USB-C charge ports. I just find it interesting that so much of the tech is here in terms of, like, we have LED dome lights back here, USB-C chargers, a 120 volt. Really the only thing this thing is missing is leather, heated, cooled seats, all of that. I mean, you still get adaptive cruise on here. The lane keeping system is just an interesting play for a work truck, I think. Now, we do have that ability to get 350 kilowatts max charging speed on a DC fast charger. And this one has the soft tonneau cover option. So that's included with this truck. All this other stuff is just left back here. But 240 there, and then we have 4 120 volts right in there. But I like the rear end styling as well. It still looks futuristic, and it also looks like a work truck. So, mostly because of that black body color bumper back there. It's not the body color, but you know what I mean. We can lift these up if we want to use them for storage as opposed to seating space. Manual front passenger seat as well. Storage up top, storage on the side for driver and front passenger, and then a lockable glove compartment here. But now we're just gonna go back around to the driver's side and just take a quick look at the features we have from there. So we do get a vinyl wrap steering wheel here. There's the horn. Now over here to the infotainment system. This is an 11-inch screen. We do get wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, thank goodness, with the Google Assistant system here. On top of that, we get our typical AM, FM, XM radio along with Bluetooth, and then we have Google News and podcasts. Now we have a Wi-Fi hotspot. Settings are in here. You have Team Driver, rear seat reminder, and buckle to drive. And then if you want to change your system settings in here, you can change your units of measurement as well as your language. And then you do have the Google Maps up here. You have to have that subscription, of course. And then your controls are in here. You have a quick shortcut. For example, your lights right here. So you can turn those to auto as opposed to having them on. Window lockout for the back, automatic high beams, park assist. So a lot going on here. You even have your aux switches here if you want to have access to those. Oh, excuse me. And then your vehicle status, you can go in here and kind of see what's going on there in terms of your tire pressure, trip info, energy info, etc. So a lot to do here. And again, what cracks me up is some of the luxury features that you get here, but so many other things that you're missing. So you have dual zone automatic climate controls here, which definitely isn't a bad thing. It's just kind of funny to me. It is an EV, so a lot of the EVs have stuff that are standard here that you wouldn't get on a typical gas powered truck, but having your dual zone climate control, the just ridiculous graphics here in the screen, it just cracks me up. And then you have your rear controls there. Now up here, when you are kind of back out of the settings screen, you can control whether you want the vehicle on or off, your one pedal drive, as well as your headlamps there. And then all of your charging settings are in here, so you can decide what you want the battery to charge up to, as well as the charge assist, schedule the home charge, and then all of your shortcuts on the side here, including your Bluetooth. Now backup cameras here, guidelines follow you as you turn the steering wheel. You have a front camera as well, curbside views. So quite a bit that you can choose from. And then 2 USB-C charge ports, a 12-volt, plenty of storage here, bottle holders, and then you have your typical center console cubby space here, which has a pretty good amount of space as well. Hazards are here. And there's a look at the back from up here. And your dome lights are right in here. And then vanity mirror. Again, just funny. You have the more premium vanity mirror. You can't even get one this nice and probably a loaded out gas powered Silverado, but it's nice to have it here. Now back to the steering wheel. Left stalk, hit that for the washer fluid. You can control the wipers here. And then high beams there. And your shifter's on this right side, so you can pull there for neutral, pull up for reverse, pull down for drive, press P for park there. And then you can go through your trackless radio station presets on the left side here, and then volume can be adjusted on this side. Now, again, you have adaptive cruise, so you can turn that on or off there, cancel, set the speed, adjust the gap for that, as well as the forward collision alert. And then voice recognition, audio sources can be turned right in here. And then you have your mute button. This also serves as a Bluetooth button as well. And then you can change your views of the gauge cluster just by pressing this button here. And then when applicable, you can use it to go through your radio station favorites, or if another menu pops up here, you can use that as well. But again, an interesting setup, I think. I really like the truck overall, just all the tech that you get. But there's a key fob with remote start. And for the fun part, let's go ahead and take this 2024 Silverado EV 4WT out on the road for a test drive. So starting the test drive in the Silverado EV, not used to having a battery this big, so even though I have 20% charge left, I still have a rated 103 miles on the battery here, which is, it's just impressive to me. So far, driving dynamics are pretty typical of an EV. I have the one pedal drive on, so nothing out of the ordinary there. I'm liking it so far. Now, parking this truck, I feel like is not as easy as the Hummer because you don't have that four-wheel steering, but maneuvering it in general is not as cumbersome because you're just not in that big of a truck, if that makes sense. This feels much less huge as opposed to that Hummer. But we're gonna give it a little pull here and our foot to the floor. So very impressive pickup in terms of the truck in general, of course, and just the pull it has. And I love this, and I said this about the Blazer EV I reviewed a while ago. I love that it shows me how much energy I'm using as I accelerate and as I just kind of cruise down the interstate here. So I can see the efficiency in real time. I have a Mustang Mach-E, and I can kind of see over time how many, I guess, kilowatt hours I'm using per, I don't know, per mile or something like that. But here I can actually see in real time what's being used, which is pretty neat. Now, ride quality is pretty good. I just passed that semi as I get off the interstate here, and I didn't feel it sway at all. Now, of course, this is a heavy beast with this big of a battery and this big of a pickup. So I wouldn't expect it to be thrown around like a Chevy Cobalt or a Mini Cooper or something like that, but still pretty impressive that I didn't feel it. And the road noise is pretty impressive. Even though this is an EV and it's quieter than a gas-powered truck would be, the sound acoustics in here is still pretty remarkable in terms of just the road noise and wind noise. And really the only sounds I'm getting is from what I showed earlier, which was that chair and all that is still in the bed of this truck. But I think if you plan on getting 500,000 miles out of this, which it's very possible, especially if you charge it right, keep the battery maintained, things of that nature, you see why it might be an $80,000, why it might be worth at least an $80,000 truck for the right buyer. It has all the technology that you'd expect, honestly, from a typical 2024 luxury vehicle, let alone this one being a work truck. You have the wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, adaptive cruise, a power tilt and telescoping steering wheel, the dual zone climate controls. It's just an impressive truck, other than, I guess, the luxury amenities. The tech amenities are here, but the luxury, it almost doesn't go with this truck for it to be a work truck and for you to have the tech that's in here, even though it is an EV. But this is really one of the more basic vehicles available, I think, because with the Cybertruck and the Rivian and all of that, even the most basic trim levels are still meant to be luxury vehicles. Even with the Lightning, you have the more basic models, but there's just something about this Silverado that feels like a typical work truck. But then again, you have all the tech advantages that you would expect in the highest trim on other vehicles. But most importantly, at least for me, having 450 miles of range is just fantastic for a truck like this. And honestly, for me, 65 or 70 grand for this, I wouldn't mind spending that. 80, I think, is a bit high. Not necessarily for the truck, but just for my pocketbook if I were to get another EV. Because you can get a Hummer for almost 100,000 now. Of course, you're not gonna have that range. You're gonna have a lot more features though. And it's more, I guess, less of a practical vehicle. But for the right buyer, again, I think this is gonna be something special. And this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2024 Chevrolet Silverado EV work truck.